All right, welcome back in. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles Now. Chase Sr. here with you, coming to you from Super Bowl Radio Row in the lead up to Super Bowl 60 between the New England Patriots and the Seattle Seahawks. But we're talking birds here on the program as we do every single day year-round. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button and lock us in. Coming up here on the show, more breaking Philadelphia Eagles news as the Eagles hire another coach to their offensive staff under new offensive coordinator Sean Mannion. We have more Jeff Stoutland reaction. E.J. Smith, everybody's favorite Eagles beat writer from PHLY, going to join the show as well. And then I'll also be joined by Philly sports fan, and we'll talk some Eagles with him too from San Francisco Radio Row. Let's begin here with the latest breaking news around the birds. Philadelphia making another move to their offensive coaching staff under new offensive coordinator Sean Mannion, who's been busy bringing in a lot of his own guys to this Eagles staff. And this is an interesting move for Philadelphia. Ian Rapoport breaking the news this morning that the Eagles are filling out their offensive staff under Sean Mannion, hiring an ascending coach from the Green Bay Packers. Philadelphia hiring Ryan Mahaffey as run game coordinator and tight ends coach, per the insiders. An impressive addition. He did play at the NFL level as a fullback, and he's looked at as a good up-and-coming coach. And Green Bay over time has done a great job going all the way back decades and decades of developing really good coaches within their coaching staff. Look no further than Andy Reid. Look no further than Sean Mannion as well. What this move says about the Eagles here and this coaching staff hiring, but also what we've seen transpire over the last day with Jeff Stoutland, and it looks like the Eagles are going to be bringing in a new quarterbacks coach as well. Sean Mannion might be inexperienced. He might only have 2 years of coaching experience. No, he's never called plays before either in his NFL coaching career. But he's got a lot to say. People have been pounding the table, beating the drum, asking, clamoring for this Eagles offense to look different moving forward, to bring in new modern-day creative concepts, to be more innovative and creative. You're going to get that wish coming up here in 2026. And I'm telling you right now, there's going to have to be an adjustment period for Jalen Hurts, for this offensive line, for the run game, for the pass game, for this collective unit on the offensive side of the ball, because this offense is going to look drastically different than what we've seen under Nick Sirianni since 2021. This is going to be a Kyle Shanahan, Matt LaFleur, Sean McVay hybrid offense here. And of course, the big news last night that broke, legendary offensive line coach Jeff Stoutland leaving the Eagles. He was hired all the way back in 2013. He had been the Eagles offensive line coach for 13 years. So for the first time in 13 years, the Eagles will have a new offensive line coach. And this is a story here at the Super Bowl that really caught everybody by surprise. And this is one of the best offensive line coaches right now in the NFL, if not the best, and one of the best at his craft in the history of the National Football League. Hired by Chip Kelly in 2013. Chip Kelly drafting Lane Johnson, hiring Jeff Stoutland, two of the best moves that he made in the city of brotherly love. And Jeff Stoutland, throughout his Eagles coaching career, produced 5 All-Pros. Jordan Mailata, Lane Johnson, Evan Mathis, Jason Peters, Jason Kelsey. 2 running backs were NFL rushing champions under Jeff Stoutland. LaShawn McCoy, Saquon Barkley. Isn't this pretty crazy? And maybe Cam Jurgens in the eyes of a lot of people doesn't count for 2025, but it's still a ridiculous stat. Jeff Stoutland, the Eagles offensive line coach for 13 years. Every single year that he was coaching this Eagles offensive line, maximizing players, developing them, he had a Pro Bowler in each of those 13 years. This is the best offensive line coach in team history. And it's not just about him developing and maximizing players. It's how he made guys better off the field as well, in addition to him developing players in between the lines. He has been one of the heart and soul figures, one of the backbones, one of the pillars of this Eagles organization, and he is going to be greatly missed. And I've seen some people talking on social media, is Nick Sirianni to blame for Jeff Stoutland leaving? It's a fair point. Sirianni, I think, wanted to emphasize bringing in a guy like Sean Mannion. He's malleable and willing to change the structure, the scheme, and the look of this offense. And so maybe there's some truth to that, but I think the Eagles just want to adapt and evolve here. And Stoutland had an opportunity to come back as the Eagles offensive line coach, but it was his decision to step away. And I also want to look at these numbers here because at some point last year, Stoutland's duties as a run game coordinator were taken away from him. And according to reports, he wasn't happy about how Nick Sirianni and Kevin Patullo didn't really involve him or include him in some of those adjustments. He's a very prideful guy, as he should be, because he's an Eagles Hall of Famer and a Pro Football Hall of Famer. But the Eagles' run game was actually better when Jeff Stoutland was not the run game coordinator last year. Weeks 1 through 13, Philadelphia ran it 327 times for more than 1,300 yards, 3.9 yards per carry. When they started to make some adjustments in the ground game, week 14 to the wild card round, 187 totes for 826 yards, 4.4 yards per carry. It went up a half yard as far as the yards per rushing attempt. Now, I did walk alongside Jordan Mailata a little bit ago here at Radio Row in San Francisco as we're coming to you live from the Moscone Center. I didn't get this on video because I was literally walking with him, but asked him, what do you think about this Stoutland news? I was right alongside the diehard Philadelphia sports fan who we're going to have here on the show, and Mailata said, quote, not good, don't feel good about it. Stoutland is a big reason why Jordan Mailata has become one of the best left tackles in the game. Still to come here on Eagles Now, more interviews and great content from Super Bowl Radio Row. E.J. Smith of PHLY going to hop on board and join the program. Philly sports fan will join us as well. We'll get to that on the other side, but first, today's Philadelphia Eagles Now is made possible thanks to our friends at PrizePicks. The big game is almost here, and there's no better way to cash in during America's biggest sporting event than with PrizePicks, where it always feels good to be right. And since the big game is right around the corner, that also means it's your last chance to get into the football action before next year. So close the season out right with PrizePicks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. This is the best daily fantasy sports app. Let's look ahead to the big game on Sunday. Patriots, Seahawks. Let's go with Drake May, more than a half passing touchdown. That's the big game special that PrizePicks is running. Jackson Smith-Njigba, more than 93.5 receiving yards. Sam Darnold, more than 1.5 passing touchdowns. And Stephon Diggs, more than 44.5 receiving yards. Find your community on PrizePicks with the new social feeds feature. You can share PrizePicks with your friends and copy lineups from winners with a single click. Copy lineups you like or use them as inspiration for your own picks. You can even follow PrizePicks partners like us and tail or fade our picks with just one click. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use that code CLNS. Get $50 in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, making today's Philadelphia Eagles Now possible. All right, coming up next here on the program, spend a couple of minutes with E.J. Smith of PHLY. We're going to play that interview. We talked Vic Fangio. We talked Jeff Stoutland. We talked Sean Mannion and more. And then after that, we're going to combine these interview clips. Philly sports guy hopping on the show as well. We've continued to give you great coverage from San Francisco, the site of Super Bowl 60. That's going to continue tomorrow all throughout the weekend. So let's throw it to E.J. Smith, who I went to Temple University with, and he's crushing it with PHLY. We also talked about that and enjoy these interviews. Here with E.J. Smith of PHLY, doing a great job covering the Philadelphia Eagles. And I've said this on the show because we've referenced your reports that we went to Temple University together. Really, and yeah. You have a writing background, but you've made the switch to digital and you're crushing it. Just want to ask you how you've enjoyed that experience. It's
been fun. Yeah, no, it's been a different medium for sure. I come from a newspaper background, but it's been enjoyable. You know, I get to talk about the Eagles every day. It's definitely could be doing worse things, right?
I've seen a lot of Eagles fans say when asked about who the best people are who cover the Eagles from more of like a beat perspective, a lot of people are saying, EJ. It's crazy your eyes, man.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's a lot of really good Eagles beat reporters. I'm always flattered when people say they follow my work. But yeah, no, I mean, I've been trying to tell people something they don't know about their favorite team. That's always what I try to do with my reporting, and I'm glad that people can appreciate that, yeah.
You've got a lot of good reporting here from Radio Row. Let's first talk about Vic Fangio. I had been hearing it was up in the air that most likely he was going to come back, but maybe he was going to step away. And then you reported, looks like he's coming back. And then last night that news made official. What do you know about that whole situation and what transpired?
Yeah, no, I mean, it was definitely on the table. He seriously considered retiring. It was a long season for a lot of those guys. It was a tough way to end the year. And I think Vic, every offseason, really does consider how many more years he wants to coach and if he wants to keep coaching. So, my understanding was that the team had contingency plans in place. They started to think about succession planning for Vic. But after much persuasion, Vic decided he wanted to come back. And, I've heard people wonder, why Christian Parker took the Cowboys defensive coordinator job. I think Christian Parker probably didn't want to wait to see what Vic Fangio's decision was going to be. And he also wasn't going to be a shoo-in for the job. So, I think the Eagles will be happy that they got Vic Fangio back in the building. He's one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL. And I also don't think that it's a given that this is going to be his last year. I think he's probably going to take stock every single offseason, just to see where he is and if he wants to keep going.
More major coaching news last night that broke, and I know that you guys were talking about it on your show. Jeff Stoutland, after 13 years, stepping away from this Eagles coaching staff. I was just walking alongside Jordan Mailata, and he said, not good, don't feel good about it. Pretty crazy situation, but not all too surprising given that it seems like Sean Mannion has some say for who's going to come in under him for this offensive coaching staff.
Yeah, to really look at the Jeff Stoutland thing, I feel like you have to separate the offensive line coach from the run game coordinator, because I think, from a Sean Mannion perspective, if you're going to be ushering in a new scheme, I do understand why you would want to have a run game coordinator that is aligned with that, with that system. But I also think, from an offensive line coach perspective, as Jordan Mailata just walked by us and gave us a head nod here, he's a prime example, right, of what player developer Jeff Stoutland is. So I think it's a net loss for the Eagles to lose, all of the hats that Jeff Stoutland could wear. But I do think that the run game coordinator that they will be bringing in will be more aligned with what we expect to see from a McVay, Shanahan, LaFleur influence system.
Last one for you, the Sean Mannion hiring. The Eagles cast a really wide net. They talked to a plethora of candidates. They settle on Mannion. I'm intrigued by it. What do you think about that move?
No, I mean, I think that they hired him for the coach that he will be next season and moving forward. He was somebody who wasn't necessarily, one of the most in-demand candidates, but, being here especially, you hear a lot of people have a lot of good things to say about what he did as a player to prepare to become a coach. And I think, it's a projection. There's no really way around it. As a play caller, as the one authoring the scheme, you don't really know what you're getting in Sean Mannion, but I do think that the Eagles, their fact-finding mission on him would have revealed that he is somebody who has been around a lot of good coaches and has a real vision for what he wants it to look like. So I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be a big change, though. I think it's going to be major changes for the Eagles offense.
A lot of coaching changes for the Eagles. Let me first ask you about Sean Mannion. Any thoughts about an inexperienced young OC coming to the Eagles here to replace Kevin Patullo?
Everything I've heard about him has been great. I think that he's got a really strong upside. Obviously, he hasn't done the play calling or anything like that. But the one thing that I'm really strong about is that the Eagles have done very well about choosing coaches, and I have to trust in Howie and Lurie right now on that.
You and I were just around Jordan Mailata, and we both asked him, what do you think about this Jeff Stoutland situation as he's stepping away from the Eagles? And he said, I don't feel good about it, not good. Your thoughts on him saying that? And then Stoutland, as you know, as a diehard Eagles fan, he's been a legendary figure for this organization.
Yeah, 100%. He's going to be missed. And anybody that replaces him, I look at it like this. When you're the best, you're at the very top, and then there's everybody else. Right now, somebody else is going to try to fill those shoes, and it's going to be very tough. He's been an iconic coach in Philadelphia all this time, and he's going to be missed.
Disappointing ending to the season, losing in the wild card round to the Niners. Really hard to repeat as Super Bowl champions, especially in Philly with all that pressure. Looking ahead to 2026, what do you think the Eagles need to do, improve upon to get back to this point next year so that you and I are at the site of Super Bowl 61 in LA and the Eagles are playing for it?
I think that I want us to strengthen up our offensive line. Obviously, they were a little bit beat up this year, and some of the replacements that we had from the previous year weren't as efficient. So I want to be able to strengthen up those lines, both the offensive and defensive line. I know we might have a couple of losses there. Obviously, it's we may not have Brandon Graham come back. I mean, hopefully he does. And between Jordan and JC, I hope that they can pick up their game a little bit and be able to do what we need to do. Not sure if Vic is staying or not. That seems to be a little up in the air as well.
Confirm that he is now.
He is staying? All right, well, that's good. At least, I want some consistency with that. And, I think that we still got a great team, and I feel like that we'll be able to get back. I like the idea on the offensive coordinator. Like I said, everything we hear about him has been good stuff, and I just believe that he can come in here and start to make the changes that we need.